Penicillin has saved probably 500 million lives since we clinically implemented it. So that was 1928. The problem is there's going to be some number of bacteria that learn how to avoid being killed by the antibiotic. That idea happens at a global scale. This year, 1.5 million people are going to die from a drug-resistant infection, and it's projected by the year 2050, that number could be 10 million people per year, at which case we've surpassed cancer as a cause of death. We're sort of at this, really interesting period of time where we're forced to rethink how we go about solving this problem. The approach that we're taking is to let AI algorithms help us design new chemicals with antibacterial activity. Nice things to have are like Cadillacs and like Rolexes. I don't know, like antibiotics aren't that. Without effective measures to control infection, we're completely stuffed. Healthcare systems collapse, quality of life decreases, cancer chemotherapy, organ transplants, you have arthritis, you need a new knee, life expectancy decreases. So when I say antibiotics uphold the entirety of modern medicine, that's what I mean. It's like all of these sophisticated modern medical procedures are not able to be performed unless we can treat infections that are inevitably going to happen. You can conceptualize this idea of like antibiotic resistance, right? It's like Jurassic Park, it's like life finds a way. Well, it's true. If you keep imposing, nerdy word alert, a selective pressure in a population of bacteria, there's going to be some number of bacteria in there that learn by accident how to avoid being killed by the antibiotic, right? Right now, we're way behind the 8 ball. We have rising resistance. The old ways of finding antibiotics don't work. How do we go about this now? If we were to draw out every chemical that looks like a drug that a human could take, do you know what that number is? 10 to the power of 60. That's a 1 with 60 zeros behind it. The number of atoms that make up our whole solar system is 10 to the power of 57. If that's, how many molecules we have to look at, we can't do that in the lab. We have to do that in a computer. So let's say, you come to me and say, let's try to kill E. coli. I'm saying, all right, good idea. Super good problem, let's do it. And then you say, I want to train an AI model to design new chemicals that don't look like any antibiotic we've ever seen before, and those molecules have to kill E. coli. And then we can say, okay, so we're holding a brand new molecule that nobody in history has ever seen before, and it can kill E. coli. Can we now turn this into a drug? So we'll go into the laboratory here, and we'll go into that freezer over there.
We'll take a library of compounds, anywhere ranging from 2,000 to 10,000 molecules.
What we're gonna do is take every chemical individually, test it in the lab to see whether each one kills E. coli or not.
And so the screen is what we use to train the models. So we'll determine hits versus non-hits.
And what that model is going to be able to learn are the features of chemicals that are associated with killing E. coli. And then what we can do is we can say to that model, hey, draw us a brand new picture of a chemical that you didn't see during training that doesn't look like anything you've seen, and make sure that it kills E. coli. And if the data that we gathered to train our model properly is good, it will do that. We can then take that chemical, work with our chemistry buddies down the hall to synthesize that chemical, bring it into the lab and test it. Can we now turn this into a drug that we can then walk across the street to the hospital and eventually give to someone who would have otherwise died from an E. coli infection? Do you know how much it costs to make a drug? About $2.5 billion with a B. And it takes about 15 years. So this is not a fast process. It's very slow, it's methodical, and it's a process defined by failure. For every one success, there are tens of thousands of failures along the way, which is why it costs so much money, because we have to pay for all the things that didn't work. How fast and how cheap can we make this process before we have to synthesize a chemical and bring it out here when it starts to cost a ton of money? What would healthcare look like if we were even to cut those costs in half? What if we could cut it in half again and again? The totality of healthcare would look completely different. It would fundamentally change how we think about treating patients, right? So that's ultimately what we're working towards.
Throughout the drug discovery process, there's 1,000 different problems that can pop up. Usually people will be like tackling it either from the computer science side or from the biochemistry side. But I think that's what makes our lab very special, is that we tackle it from both ends at the same time.
What's really cool is we had this problem solved, and then we got complacent, and then nature decided that it didn't care that we were complacent and it was going to evolve anyway. But the fact that we had this problem solved once already is really comforting, because we know we can solve it. We will fix this problem. I'm certain of it because we can't not, right? So that's why I'm optimistic.